this was a horrible case. Cold-blooded murder. And that's exactly what you did.
Blank stares, quiet tears, and full-on courtroom breakdowns.
Joe, how often do you think about killing the Andersons?
Hold on tight, as these reactions to the death sentence will leave you shocked.
I didn't mean to kill Oscar. Ashley, I really didn't.
In Cuyahoga County, Ohio, what seemed like a teenage romance ended in a way that stunned an entire courtroom. 17-year-old Mackenzie Sharilla was once seen smiling in photos with her boyfriend Dominic Russo. But behind the scenes, something dark was growing.
My car. Tell me to break the door.
I will keep your car and you do not let me in the house.
You're going to keep my car.
If you don't let me in the house, yes.
According to prosecutors, their relationship had turned toxic. Mackenzie threatened him, even warned she would crash her car with him inside. And on one August night in 2022, that's exactly what she did. Inside her Toyota Camry were Dominic and his friend Davin Flanagan. All three of them were coming home from a night out. Surveillance footage shows Mackenzie calmly making a turn, then slamming the accelerator, crashing at 100 miles per hour straight into a building. Both men's lives ended instantly, but Mackenzie survived.
Oh my God, ×3 guys. Radio, 3 occupants. No one's conscious. No one's breathing.
Once the police have arrested the girl, shocking truths were revealed.
I'm Detective Jesus. I'm the one who's been investigating the crash. You're under arrest for aggravated murder ×2.
Prosecutors found that she drove that same route days earlier, allegedly to plan the crash. And during trial, all signs pointed to intent, not accident.
First, you can see the car making a normal right-hand turn here. Okay, everything's normal. Then inside the car, she decides she is going to end everyone's life. Let's watch.
I'm not even cool. I'm just one of those girls that can do a lot of drugs and not die.
Gotta figure like a pin, gotta figure like a doll. Don't care if you think I'm dumb, I don't care at all. Candy best, sweetie, if I wanna be adored, I'm the girl you die for.
The courtroom turned cold as the judge read the verdict.
There was no medical condition that caused this as an accident. There was no mechanical failure of the car. The record is clear on the facts and the evidence. Her mother's uncorroborated statements without any medical testimony or records is not persuasive. There's a very good likelihood, Mackenzie, that you will spend the rest of your life in prison. That won't be up to me. So she's sentenced on count 2, the murder of Davion Flanagan, 15 years to life. She's sentenced on count 1, the murder of Dominic Russo, 15 years to life, to be served concurrent to each other.
At first, Mackenzie kept a blank face, but as the sentence came, 15 years to life, her mask cracked. She broke down in tears while reading her final statement, apologizing to everyone she had hurt.
The families of Dom and Davion, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away. And I'm so sorry. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much.
But the judge didn't budge and stood firm on her decision.
A failed suicide attempt is not a defense to murder. And even in a murder-suicide attempt, when a perpetrator executing the plan survives, the other death or deaths are still murder.
For many watching, Mackenzie's courtroom breakdown was haunting, but this is how justice was delivered. In Omaha, Nebraska, a man stepped into court with his face sliced and scarred, each cut seemingly carved with intent, not for pain, but for message. This was 27-year-old Niko Jenkins, and what followed was one of the most disturbing trials the state had ever seen. Fresh out of prison in 2013, Jenkins didn't try to rebuild his life. He tore others apart instead. His first 2 victims, Juan Peña and Jorge Ruiz, were found shot inside a car. Days later, he murdered a former inmate, Curtis Bradford, and finally, Andrea Kruger during a carjacking. Jenkins entered court remorseless, head held high.
He's had power over my life for 4 years, and I've struggled for 4 years. He don't get that power today, so no, I don't have anything to say to him.
The judge laid out each charge: premeditated, purposeful, and cold-blooded.
This panel finds that the death penalty is appropriate, should be, and is hereby given for each of the 4 murders by the defendant. The defendant's commission of these 4 murders over a 10-day period is one of the worst sprees in the history of this state.
Jenkins didn't flinch, no emotion, just a blank stare. He claimed a mythical Egyptian snake god ordered the murders, even comparing it to ancient rituals. While awaiting trial, he cut his face, but court psychiatrists found him competent and dangerous. And even after the death sentence, he reacted boldly, defiant to the end. Niko Jenkins wasn't just sentenced to life, but he became a chilling symbol of what happens when madness meets violence. In Cape Coral, Florida, face tattoos, cold confidence, and courtroom spectacle all collided. Here's Wade Wilson, known in the media as the Deadpool Killer. Convicted in June 2024 of strangling Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz, 2 women found within hours of each other, Wilson didn't flinch. The justice system called his actions heinous, atrocious, and cruel, making death the expected outcome. Wilson stays emotionless as jury speaks.
We, the jury, finds as follows as to the defendant, Wade Wilson, in this case. As to count 1, first-degree murder, Christine Melton. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes.
Members of the jury, we're going to ask each of you about the jury's decisions that you have just heard.
Wilson was calm as the jury pulled no punches, recommending death by votes of 9-3 and 10-2.
The court has further considered giving great weight to the advisory verdict of the jury, who recommended that the death penalty be imposed by a vote of 9-3 on count 1 for the murder of Christine Melton and a vote of 10-2 on count 4 for the murder of Diane Ruiz.
When the judge confirmed the sentence, Wilson didn't show remorse, except for a slight smirk when offered a chance to speak, saying he'd talk later. He even asked to be moved straight to death row as soon as possible. He interrupts the judge after receiving his sentence.
Well, Mr. Wilson, you have an opportunity, just like during any of the other phases of, well, let me just finish real quick. Any other phases during the case, if you want to address the court, I would admit you to do that. Obviously, everything's recorded, but you would have that opportunity if you wish. No one can prevent you from addressing the court if you wish to, and no one can make you address the court if you don't want to. So it is a decision that's solely left up to you if you want to address the court or not.
Not today. Later, when I come back, I will. Today, okay. No.
His lawyers said brain trauma and drug use clouded his judgment. Even his adoptive parents begged for mercy, saying the human is still in there. But the judge called it cruelty for cruelty's sake, and Wade Wilson showed no emotion as his sentence was sealed.
Judge, this is a letter from the adoptive parents of Mr. Wilson. It's been 5 years since the worst of this began. You can't possibly understand how sorry we are for the families affected by this tragedy. We cannot change the past, but we wish we could. On that fateful day 5 years ago, not only were the lives and the dreams of 2 women lost, with their families left behind in shock and grief, but another family was left shocked and grieved over a different kind of loss. It's easy to recognize the victims and their families and to feel profound sympathy for all they suffered and lost. But one group that isn't often recognized as those also suffering is the family of the accused. Our journey of loss didn't happen all in one day as theirs did, but it was heartbreaking nonetheless. Wade was a joyful child, loved his parents and sisters, and was loved immensely in return. But over the teen years, and then especially in the early years of adulthood, Wade began to slip away from us, becoming withdrawn, erratic, and depressed at first. Then, as addiction was added to mental illness, he became frankly paranoid and delusional, and the sense of loss became increasingly sharp. He was in the system for years trying to get help for his mental anguish and for his addiction. They put a tiny Band-Aid on it and then sent him back into the world without a diagnosis, medication, and without follow-up care.
In South Haven, Mississippi, A regular shift at Walmart turned into something no one would have imagined. Martz Abram, 39, had just been suspended after allegedly flashing a blade at a co-worker. But a few days later, he returned, this time carrying something far more dangerous. Surveillance shows him walking back into the store and opening fire. Two managers, Anthony Brown and Brandon Gales, never made it out.
South Haven, Mississippi making national headlines at this hour. 2 Walmart employees killed, an officer hurt this morning. The shooter just identified, recently suspended by Walmart. 39-year-old Martz Abram is charged with 2 counts of murder. He is currently in the hospital recovering from surgery. We've learned the 2 employees killed are Brandon Gales and Anthony Brown. Both were fathers whose children will never see them alive again.
Inside the store, chaos broke out. Shoppers scattered. Employees hid. The sound of gunfire echoed as fear took over.
Pretty scary situation. Total panic. No city in America is immune to this. Unfortunately, it's sad, but it just shows how important the training is. I have a lot of emotions, but my emotions basically is toward the employees that witnessed it, and knew these people, worked with them every day. My wife said, "Is that a gunshot?" I said, "It's either a gunshot or somebody's run over a Coke bottle."
Police quickly surrounded the scene, and Abram was wounded before being taken into custody.
Abram was taken to a Memphis hospital for treatment for his injuries from the shootout with police.
The authorities and the governor of the state of Tennessee, as what's called the asylum state, where you are, Tennessee, has a duty and obligation to render up any prisoner being held at the request of a demanding state concerning an offense such as this murder. You understand?
In court, Abram sat quietly until prosecutors played the footage. He was forced to watch himself in the act.
That's you, isn't it, sir?
Yes.
Look at it, please, sir.
Yes.
All right, proceed. Stop. Mr. Gale is on the floor going down at this point, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay. And that's you shooting him, right?
Yes.
Okay, proceed. Stop it. Okay. Look at the screen, sir.
Yes.
That's you shooting him?
Yes.
And you admit that you shot him in cold blood?
Yes.
Proceed. And then stop. You shot him again, didn't you?
Yes.
While he's on the floor? Yes? Back it up. You're going to watch it, so I don't want to play with you.
As the clips played, his tough exterior cracked. He began to break down, tearfully admitting what happened, even confirming he kept firing after one man had already dropped to the floor.
Look at the screen, sir.
Yes.
That's you shooting him?
Yes.
You shot him again, didn't you?
Yes.
All right, proceed. Now, after that, you went back to the toilet paper aisle, didn't you?
The jury deliberated, and the outcome was clear. Abram was found responsible for both lives lost. When it came time for sentencing, families of the victims spoke. Despite their pain, they offered words of forgiveness, saying it took prayer and time to reach that place. The final ruling? A harsh sentence that means Abram will spend the rest of his days behind bars, likely never stepping outside prison walls again.
From the first day that this unit started working on this case, it was never about the defendant. It was about the victims.
After hours of deliberation, jurors in DeSoto County sentenced convicted killer Martz Abram to death. Abram was convicted of capital murder Thursday for the 2019 killings of 2 managers at the South Haven Walmart. He was also convicted of attempted murder for shooting and injuring a South Haven police officer.
In count 1, I will sentence you to death. Count 2, you will be sentenced to death. In count 3, you will be sentenced to life in the penitentiary.
In Springville, New York, a seemingly ordinary babysitting job ended in heartbreak and shock. 16-year-old Dylan Shoemaker was watching her girlfriend's young son, but the night took a turn no one expected.
Police say this little boy was brutally beaten to death just days before his 2nd birthday. Tonight, his mom's 16-year-old boyfriend is behind bars, charged with murder.
He went to school, he did good in school. He was doing really good, actually, after he got a rehab. And then, I don't know, he got 2 kids dumped on him out of nowhere. And he just snapped.
Dylan tried to stay in control, but he couldn't. As he later admitted, he acted out of frustration and had hit 23-month-old Austin Smith multiple times. Sadly, medical experts confirmed the toddler's injuries weren't accidental. By morning, Austin had passed. Dylan was arrested and charged with second-degree murder, now facing the weight of what he had done. While giving his statement in court, Dylan broke down in tears, saying he never meant to hurt Austin.
The mother's 16-year-old boyfriend had struck the child repeatedly about the face. The cause of death was determined today to be blunt force trauma to the head.
I didn't mean to kill Austin. Ashley, I really didn't. I really think I did that. I didn't mean to hurt him. I can't take back what was done. I wish I could. I would give my life for Austin. I loved him a lot.
His attorney argued youth and inexperience played a role. Dylan was new to babysitting and managing a toddler.
I do, Your Honor. Yesterday, Dylan Shoemaker turned 17. When this crime was committed, he was 2 months into his 16th year. There has been a great deal of scientific work as to the lack of development in terms of comparison of a teenage brain to an adult brain. Our laws are geared for adult brains, how they think, not for the impulsivity of a teenager who had significant problems growing up, behavioral problems, aggression problems, anger problems. I had hoped that by having my client testify and by virtually cross-examining him during his direct examination, that would make an impact on the trial jury. Evidently, it didn't make enough of an impact because I thought the jury selected the most harsh and unreasonable option that they could.
But the judge didn't hold back. Despite the outburst, the judge held firm, noting Dylan knew right from wrong and made conscious choices. He called Dylan a manipulator and deceiver, citing a phone call where Dylan admitted he could just cry and they'd feel sorry because he was a 16-year-old blonde. Finally, the maximum penalty came down, 25 years to life behind bars. Dylan's face fell. The mask cracked. Tears streamed as he wept. I didn't mean to. I love him.
I have carefully read the victim impact statement containing letters from 13 people and consisting of 44 pages. My attention was directed at page 1, a picture of a beautiful baby boy, a toddler. Michael Smith, Austin's grandfather, states, "I will never forgive Dylan for what he has done." He at least feels that you are not remorseful for what you did. He is simply scared of what will happen to him. Well, I'm sure Austin was even more scared. Sarah Smith, the grandmother, states, "The doctor allowed her to go back, and I went back with her. What I saw haunts me to this day. My sweet angel was lying perfectly still on a bed with bruises all over his face, neck, and arms, and his tube stuck out of his blue lips. I kissed him goodbye, told him I loved him, and carried his mommy out of the room. She also said, this is the last thing the baby saw was the person who killed him." Hannah Ebert, a family friend, said, "There is no excuse and no valid reason to take a child's life. None. There are too many options and choices he could have made before he let anger and violence overtake him. He could have just picked up the phone and made one phone call to stop it. And to know that he repeatedly hit and abused Austin shows that he intentionally took Austin's life."
I did it.
Dylan is 16 years old, and he is old enough to know right from wrong. The testimony brought forth at trial was gut-wrenching. It was gut-wrenching for me. Make no mistake, this is what I believe. At 16, you knew right from wrong. Had a bad childhood, had some troubles. At 16, you knew not to keep pounding your fist on that pillow with that little baby's head there.